of news.
Yeah, the news and.
I'm sure there's a Pepsi commercial going on or something.
Right. Oh, but you mean the sugar carbo drink?
I'm Eddie Brock, and I have been weak.
Yeah. Oh, look, we broadcast some stuff we weren't supposed to. And, you know, that's fine. No harm done.
It's one of them superhero movies.
Yes. Yeah, the people with the superpowers. Oh, here we are. Welcome to the weekly live stream where we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about taming, and I wore, you know, a taming type shirt, you know, sort of a pseudo safari kind of.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, see what that is? You know, doing the part. All right. And speaking the part, if you want to get some prizes and enter for your chance to win, you can get some prizes. We have a new phrase because now we're on release 58, which went live yesterday. And what's the phrase?
Light it up!
Because the theme for release 58 is dragons. Look, see?
Dragons!
Like this guy right here.
Somebody's gonna be like, technically that is not a dragon, that is a... Don't, it's a dragon.
You can totally lawyers all you want about the dragons and the wyverns and the drakes and all that stuff. And you know who loves to hear about all of that is Lord British, because he has very, very strong opinions about what the anatomy of the dragons and the 2 versus the 4 legs, and he'll go into great depth with you about why they would never have 4 legs and would always be the 2 legs because evolution wise. Whoa, that was a loud noise. Loud noises.
Somebody. Lord British in robot form.
Yes, he
rammed into our door like the Terminator.
Yes.
Help us.
I did because I heard you besmirching me.
No, I was not besmirching you. I was saying you would love to talk to people about 4 versus 2 legs, dragons versus wyverns versus drakes, and how you have very strong opinions about.
Yeah, that's true. That is absolutely true. I have very, very strong opinions. The best movie dragon ever made was the one on the movie Dragon Slayer, run by an Apple II computer, by the way, and he properly had 2 legs, and his wings were all through his forearms.
I thought that was a wyvern.
That's the proper way for a dragon to be made. I'm just saying.
But that's
all. That's all.
I like Dragonheart.
See, he had such strong opinions that he could hear us through the door. He banged into the door and came in to say something about it.
Bad robot.
If you would like to have discussions about dragon anatomy, Lord British loves to have those discussions. So please have those discussions with him. So but back to the original topic we were trying to have. If you'd like to win a prize, you can log into the game and in chat type "light it up," because fire, dragons breathe fire. Light it up, fire. Get it? It's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right. The other way to win a prize is to purchase something from our store. And those are the 2 ways, but you don't have to do that because no purchase necessary, because that is the law. So if you would like to win a prize, either buy something from the store or don't, because you don't have to, no purchase necessary because that is the law, or you can go into chat and type "light it up," and then you can win a prize. And we're giving all sorts of cool prizes away. All the prizes are the new weapons that we added in Release 58.
And they're awesome.
They're really cool. And that's the weekend sale. So right now, actually, everything's on sale because... Nearly everything. Asterix. Release 58 live stream stretch goals. So right now, every Friday for the release, we have stretch goals that you can earn, and we've already earned the first one. So if you made a purchase starting at noon today or any Friday during the release, you will get one of the stretch goals. And so far, we've already gotten the first one, which is the dragon egg decorations.
Ooh, so you can. Are we gonna be able to hold it? Like Daenerys?
I know you'll be able to place it as a decoration, but we weren't planning to have it placeable. I mean, equipable, but
it might be weird because it has to be like this, but it could be like one of these offhand ones.
Or we could use the the pot, the pot tool animation. You could hold it like this. Well, they can't see. I've got my arm over here where they can't see it. You could hold it like that, like you're stirring the dragon egg. No, that would be weird. Okay. Anyway, so that's the first one. The next one, which we're actually already really close to, because we're already around 20,000, I think. Let me. We're actually already over 20,000, so we're getting close to the next one, which is going to be a new emote. So we already have a Breathe Fire emote. And so the next one we're making for the stretch goal is it's like going to be Breathe Fire, but it's going to come out in these fire streams that are going to spiral around each other. It's going to be, so when you breathe the fire, it's going to go like that.
What movie is that from? It's from something.
I don't.
Somebody will know.
I don't know. To the interwebs, someone. And then if we get to 35K, it's going to be dragon skin rugs. So you know how we have like the animal skin rugs? It's going to be like a dragon skin rug. It's going to have like the dragon head, and then it's going to have the skin. And then we're going to have a dungeon entrance pattern that's an exclusive dungeon entrance pattern that's got dragons on it. And then a dragon bow, a dragon plate helm, dragon sword and dragon polearm, and then a dragon mask set. So we've already got a dragon mask in the store, but it's a single color, and we're gonna have some exclusive colors in this dragon mask set, and they're gonna have like smoke effects coming out of them.
Nice.
And then all the way at the top, if we during the month, if we make it all the way up to 100, we're gonna have a unique dragon encounter room. So it's going to be so all these dragon themed stretch goals. All you have to do is make a purchase in the store any Friday during the release, or during our live stream next Thursday, or be part of our rewards program. And there's all sorts of cool things to purchase in the store, including so we're very, very close to getting the retail edition of the boxed version of the game on Amazon. There were some shipping issues we had to resolve, but we're very close. So that should go live later this month. But we've got a special edition that Richard is going to sign the outside of the box of, that we're selling on our website as of today. So if you'd like a version that's got Richard's signature on the outside, it's different than the ones that we did during the Kickstarter where Richard signed like the inside pieces, like the cloth map and things like that. It's just the outside, but it's really cool. It's got his signature on the outside. There's a picture of him with a sample of that. So if you're interested in that, that's for sale.
It's a limited time only.
Yeah, limited time only.
Unlike digital things, physical things, we have finite numbers.
Yeah.
So limited time.
And as we mentioned last time, we sold out of I think the episode 2 POT, the new ones, but there's still a few transfers left and upgrades left, so you can still get those, but those are selling out fast. Spooky recurring items, those are back, and then we added the spooky rares, so the jack-o'-lantern set and the jack-o'-lantern masks, but those are only going to be live until November 30th. And again, most of the store is on sale until midnight. And then after those go off sale, the weapons will be on sale for the rest of the weekend. So all sorts of cool stuff. And then all of this is in celebration of Release 58, which went live yesterday. And as we mentioned last live stream, we had great plans for Release 58, but our internet provider at our old office, starts with an A, ends with a T, I'll leave out the middle part, decided they were going to, help us, give us incentive to move. And so we had to move a little faster than we planned. And so we had a nice leisurely plan where we're going to take, we were going to have internet at our old office and internet at our new office, and we would slowly transition over. And then all of a sudden, hey, no more internet at our old office. And we had to move everything over immediately. So that kind of disrupted our plans for Release 58. We still got a ton done. We got the Wyverns in, and we're going to talk about that in the second half of today's live stream. There's already been a ton tamed already. You guys, you guys apparently had been waiting very excitedly for these because people have already tamed a bunch of them.
Yes.
And I think even on QA, like as soon as they went live, they didn't go in the QA build immediately, but as soon as they went in like the second or third QA build, you guys had already tamed them. Like I think within like an hour of them going live, it was crazy.
Maybe they're too easy.
Oh yeah, we should make them harder.
Make them harder.
No, we won't. All right. So we got those in. We added some new add-on store weapons, which are the prizes in today's live stream. We also got player-made dungeons. We got the builder version. I'm calling it 0.5 of the builder because it's the very early version of the builder, but you can still start laying out your dungeon. And people have been going crazy on that. Already lots of cool layouts that people have been experimenting with. Recipes and blueprints, those are now in the game. You can get them from merchants, and you can get some of them in loot. We've got dungeon foyers that you can put down. That's the first room that you have to put down to start building your dungeon. And we've given you the ability to have both a dungeon and a basement at the same time. And we've given you the ability to keep your sample dungeon and your dungeon that you're building at the same time.
Right. And if you have a dungeon entrance that you got from the add-on store, you should claim rewards right now if you haven't already, because you should be getting one of the foyers that you can put down and start building your dungeon from.
Right.
Check that out.
Yes. And we made some improvements to AI to close some loopholes where people were able to hit them without the enemies being able to hit back. We got a bunch of live stream items, a backlog of those. So the Leaf Backpack, the Silver Serpent Wand, that was R54 and R55. Those were the outstanding items from those live streams. And pretty much all of the Release 56 live stream items, those were all the Ether-themed items. That's the sword, the shield, the die, the longbow, the crossbow, and the lich statue. The only thing we still have left to do is the dragon statue, and that'll go live next release. I already mentioned the spooky content, the jack-o'-lanterns, and then we made 30 plus decorations dyeable right now. You want to go say something? Yep. Okay. And so, or somebody's already there. All right. And fishing. So we had originally planned to have. We've got somebody looking at the website right now. So I see you guys mention something in chat. Someone's looking at it right now. So fishing was originally planned. Fishing phase 2, the first phase part of that was originally planned to go in Release 58. Because of the move, we weren't able to get that live. However, we were able to get all of the different water types tagged. So salt, fresh, fetid, lava. So all the different water types are tagged now. And bait is now the active skill that you use to go fishing. So all that's done now. But we weren't able to get all the content, so all the different fish types to go with the different fish types. That's not done yet. All right, website's back up. So yay! All right, we did a bunch of combat balance, and there were some performance improvements and tons of bug fixing. Once again, we did like 100 bug fixes, and yeah. So Release 58, despite losing almost 2 weeks of work because of the disruption of our move, we still got a ton done. You can check it all out in the Release 58 post. And we're going to have our postmortem next Thursday. Normally we have our postmortems on a Friday, but Austin City Limits Music Festival is next weekend, and myself and Chris Spears are going to be at the music festival because we love music.
Woohoo! Music festival both weekends.
Yeah,
I'll be in the office.
That was Chris.
So you can bother me.
So that's so we were going to be out Friday, so we have to have our live stream on Thursday. So Release 58, we got a ton done, but Q4 is going to be amazing. We put out our Q4 post earlier this week as well, and it's going to have tons of cool stuff. We're going to have baby dragons. So we got the wyverns in this last release, but Q4 we're also going to get little baby dragons. They have little big eyes. We're going to get, as I mentioned, we're going to get the boxes at the Amazon store. We're going to get shipping phase 2 in. We're going to get fishing phase 2, and as we mentioned last live stream, that's got a ton of new things in it. So that's going to have the different water types: fresh, salt, fetid, and fetid water is that's the swamp water, that's dungeon water, sewer water, and then of course the craziest one. I don't know why Chris is here early, but he's poking his head in. Oh, prizes! Oh, it's prizes. He's got prizes. That's why he's here.
You want me to try and read all these?
Yeah, come in.
All right.
Wait, I like this rain baby dragons emote idea from Sean Butts.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Well, a mix of baby dragon eggs and baby dragons.
No, but then they fall and they break.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No.
Why does Rick print these names on white text on black?
To make it really hard to read.
To make it really hard to read.
I literally can't read it. Yeah.
All right. So, congratulations, all the winners coming up. Here we go. Prize number 1. Ornate Viking Maul goes to Soul. Ornate Scythe goes to Elrond.
Oh, that one's cool.
Heavy Kobold Kite Shield, Vicus Narfelson.
Oh, that's nice name.
Heavy Royal Elven Shield goes to Melissa. Very medieval name.
It is.
Royal Elven Mage Staff goes to X. Kobold Rancer Spear. Rancer goes to
Ransur.
Dr. Mary Water Goddess. Actually, it's Dramary Water Goddess, but anyways. Royal Elven, I'm assuming they meant doctor.
It's doctor.
Doctor. Royal Elven Longbow goes to Delayan Lachlan. Royal Elven Spear. Man, we give away a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Royal Elven Spear goes to Arthur Lelubeck.
I'm laughing at the way Chris is reading it.
And these are really hard to read, too, as I mentioned. Rick prints it just to torture people.
It's great.
Ornate Oracle Hammer goes to Rhiannon Rogue. Congratulations! And I'll be back in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah,
we'll have another drawing, so make sure you say light it up in the game or spend any amount in the store for the next prizing.
And if you spend any amount, that gets us closer to our stretch goals, which means you get more stuff.
More stuff!
All right, dragon theme stuff. All right, and Q4. Oh, yeah, so fishing phase 2. All the different fish types, and we're going to have cool fish. So including, fresh, salts, etc., and more fantasy type fish. So like rainbow trout that are literally rainbow colored.
How about clownfish that look like clowns?
Totally, and they have like they have little horns and stuff.
My fear.
Yeah. And like the fish that you'll see in lava, they're going to have a very prehistoric feel to them. So like coelacanth, those like the armored fish. Those are going to be the kind of fish that you find in lava, along with like flaming fish and like lava eels, that kind of thing. A lot more loot out of fishing, different bait and lure types, and the kind of lures that you need for lava fishing are gems and trophy data. So when you catch a fish, it's going to have so you're going to have a chance to catch a trophy fish. Sometimes you're just going to catch regular fish, but every now and then you're going to catch a trophy fish, and that trophy fish will have a bunch of data associated with it, like who caught it, when they caught it, weight, etc. And that's going to allow things like having fishing contests and more recipes that are going to use all these new fish types and more recipes for the existing fish types, and then groups and social bonuses. So there's going to be a revolving bonus that goes through all the player-owned towns in the game. So they'll get a bonus for fishing, and then there'll be a bonus for fishing as a group. So lots of cool things that are happening with fishing phase 2. More quality of life and more UI polish in Q4. Backslot items are going to be able to get enchanted in Masterworks. And right now we're going with 3 major archetypes. We may expand this later. So backpack archetype is going to be things like strength and carry. Cloaks are going to be things like stealth and defense and backstab protection, and wings are going to be dexterity and speed. And then more expansions to the player-made dungeon system, seasonal content. So we've already been adding some Halloween, and next up is going to be the winter holidays, and then seasonal creatures. So you guys got to see a picture of Pumpkinhead. He's going to be awesome. He's going to have he's going to be fun. And then Krampus, who I'm especially excited by, and his army of zombie children. So, because if you know the legend of Krampus, he eats children. So we were like, if you follow the story forward, then that means like he could have like zombie children as his like army.
Or leftovers.
Right. We were even talking like maybe he has like, never mind. And then more loot improvements and more gold, more loot, just systemic improvements to how much loot is going to be available in the game, and a new website. And that's all in Q4. And then 2019 is going to be even more amazing. So crafting specialization, where you'll be able to choose a specialization in one of the crafting schools, and then you'll be able to choose your effect when you masterwork and enchant. And then there's going to be a special set of effects that are only available when you grandmaster. More loot improvements, more add-on store weapons. So we're just going to slowly expand the number of weapons that you can get. More fishing expansions, better boss fights. And then episode 2, of course, is going to be coming in 2019. That's going to be a complete revamp of the quest system and the journal, theater system, treasure hunting with treasure maps, item infinity and reputation, taming expansions with pet leveling, pet skills, and pet customization, customizable NPCs, and expanded permission system for containers and
so much
stuff.
My brain's gonna explode.
It's gonna be great. Q4 in 2019 are gonna be awesome.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at EMP strikes. Rip Torn in a fishing boat as a boss battle.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. All right. So reminder, you can purchase stuff today, but you automatically participate in these stretch goals if you're part of our rewards program. The rewards program is awesome. It has a great exchange rate of real money to our crowns. You also get obsidian potions. You're automatically participating in all the stretch goals, and you get an exclusive title every 3 months. Keeper of the Faith, Keeper of the Word, and my favorite, Keeper of the Flame, if you do it for a year. And you also get to pick a die pack every 6 months. And die packs are even cooler now that you can dye not just clothes, but you can start dyeing decorations in the game.
So much.
Yeah.
So much.
And pillows. That was a big thing. That was a big thing that Travis, who's our quality of life police officer, insisted that we had to get pillow dyeable, because pillow. So physical goods update. So as I mentioned earlier, the retail box is going to be live on Amazon soon. And meanwhile, there's also a signed version of the box on our website that, as a bonus, includes episode 2 early access, and it'll be signed by Lord British on the outside of the box. So it's a special edition that won't be available on Amazon, just directly from our website. And that's only for a limited time, because we only have a finite amount for now. And also for backers who did not, we got about 90% of our backers in phase 1 of the shipping, but there was a small number of backers who, for a variety of reasons that we explained in the post, mostly about addresses and address confirmations and things like that didn't get in that phase 1. So we're working in Q4 to start getting all of that phase 2 shipping addressed. And so if you didn't get your box in phase 1, please contact support and we'll work through and make sure your address is verified and all that stuff, and work through, make sure you get your box, any physical goods that you're owed from the Kickstarter in phase 2. And some cool projects to back. So there's a book being written about Origin and the history of that company by an Italian author, and there's a Kickstarter called Through the Moongate, and that's linked in our weekly update. So you should check it out. It's got some pretty cool stuff. I answered some questions in it, and some of our compatriots did. And the GDC. Speaking of that, earlier this year in March, Richard and I joined Raph Koster and Rich Vogel, and we did the 20th anniversary Ultima Online postmortem, and the 21st anniversary was earlier this week, like just a few days ago, and GDC posted our postmortem on their vault in the free section, so anybody can go view that, and that's also linked in our weekly update, and there's all sorts of cool stories and anecdotes in there. If you weren't able to attend the Game Developers Conference, you can check out that video, and it's really awesome. And upcoming events, reminder. So this Monday is the Release 58 dance party, and DJ Darkstar, that's me, will be spinning tunes on Avatar's radio. So you can join us in game, or you can just tune in on the website and hear me spin tunes. It'll be a special 3-hour set starting at 3 p.m. Central Time. I hope you'll be there and groove out with us. And then the Thursday, October 4th, will be our Release 58 live stream, and we got some really cool stuff. We're going to be doing another deep dive about dungeons because we've gotten it live. We've got the builder live in the game in Release 58, so we're going to show you how that system works. We're going to show you the foyers, and we're going to talk about how we're going to be expanding that system over time, talking about upcoming things like the limits and how those are going to work, and also how you can find the blueprints and what the difference is between blueprints and recipes. Blueprints are basically the consumable. It's like the fuel of the dungeon building system, and the recipes are what you need to build the things, but you also need the blueprints. And we're also going to be doing a deep dive about our seasonal content. So we're going to be talking more about Pumpkinhead and Krampus and some of our previous, the Arch Lapin, who's our death bunny.
Is that how you say it?
Lapin?
Lapin?
Yes. Lapin. Most people say Lapin, but it's actually
Lapin.
It's actually Lapin.
Lapin.
La Franche. So we're going to be talking about and also the Atavis of Purity and the Aether, all the Ether stuff that we did, and just talking about our plans for how we're going to be doing seasonal content, how we're going to be moving stuff in and out of the game and all that kind of thing. So that's going to be one of the deep dives in the Release 58 live stream next Thursday. And then October 11th through 13th is SodaCon here in Austin. Woo! So that's going to be not next week, but the week after, and we're looking forward to that. There's going to be tours of the office. There's going to be a King's dinner and all sorts of cool stuff related to that. And so now it's now time for Taming. So we're going to have Chris Atos Spears and Brandon Bezos Cotton, and we're going to have a special guest, Sanyo, because he's the one who put in the encounters for the wyverns. Ooh. So he is going to be talking about those as well. So thank you guys very much, and now we're going to be talking about Taming. So here we go.
Woo!
Gentlemen.
Tamers!
We lost Chris.
He's coming. He's getting into beverage.
Okay.
I'm going to get food.
Oh, snacks.
So I can eat on the air.
That's always popular.
Especially with my wife.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. So these guys are going to do a couple. It's down at the bottom there. Oh, okay. And do you want to show the game? Well, first you want to log in before you click over to it. Okay.
Oh, crud.
Did you guys just do a patch?
It's all right. It'll be fine.
Really fast.
I'll be.
All right. So what I wanted these guys to do today was basically the two extremes. One, I wanted them to start with just talking about the basics of taming, and really assume that the viewers don't know anything about taming, how it works. Like, oh, I need to go and find the creature and try and tame it, and I need a taming collar and all that stuff. But then on the opposite extreme of that, talk about some of the really high-end tameable creatures that we added in recently, like the Obsidian Destroyer and the Wyverns and things like that. So the two sort of opposite ends of things. So I'll let you log in first, so they won't see your game password, and then I'll click get it showing the game.
Yeah, Chris tamed a bunch of stuff and got everything set up here.
Yeah.
What is password 124?
Hold on, I'm in the login queue.
There you go. Do you want to put it down here so you don't have to be looking up? It's not blue.
Yeah, I'm good.
Let me
He's gonna do most of the talking.
Okay.
B, let me know if I'm
There you go.
too much.
Sure,
All right.
you're all good.
Okay, you guys got it?
Sure.
All right. Taming.
Yeah, I think first we'll start off with sort of the basics of taming, the mechanics behind how you tame a creature. Now, there's two sort of main items that you can craft that are necessary. They're kind of consumables that you need a bunch of when you're taming. The first one is the taming collar. That is a recipe that's initially created on the taming or the tailoring table. Then you take it over the alchemy table to kind of give it its special sauce and turn it into a consumable. And so there's a skill in the taming tree, which is your tame animal skill. And this skill uses the taming collars whenever you're trying to tame an animal. So all of or a good portion of our animal type creatures are the things that are tameable, sort of the natural creatures, not the humanoids. And then whenever you use your summoning skill, what's that?
I think I tamed him on QA.
Ah.
Nothing to see here?
But so you need the taming collar whenever you're summoning creatures or whenever you're trying to tame them. And then the second component that you need is a taming whistle, which then is created on the carpentry table, which you take over to the alchemy table to create this taming whistle necklace. And we iterated a lot through different variations of this to get to this point. And the nice thing about the taming necklace whistle is that whenever you tame something, it's stored in the necklace. So then that kind of becomes a commodity. So it does take up a slot. So you certainly have to use your necklace slot if you're taming creatures to summon them or to tame them. But then you have it as a commodity to where you can switch necklaces to summon different creatures. You can trade those necklaces to different people. And part of the initial taming skill controls whether your chance to successfully tame something. Creatures that are higher level are harder to tame. Whenever you reduce a creature's health, so like damaging it some makes it easier to tame. So there's certain high level creatures that even though you have a high taming skill, you also need to damage them a little bit to where you reduce their sort of health so then you can tame them. So that's sort of the process of acquiring one. And then there's a second step, which is whenever you're summoning them, which is a skill in the skill bar. So we do this, so there's kind of, the method of acquiring it, then the method of summoning it. And since you can transfer these necklaces to other people, your summoning skill limits what you can summon. So what we wanted to prevent was someone getting a level 100 creature and giving it to a level 1 person. So there's at least governed in summoning by a skill in the tree. So once you have the necklaces and you have the whistles, or sort of the collars and the necklace whistles, then those are kind of the two main components that you need for taming stuff. And right now, there's not, the creatures that you can tame, you have to just try and see if you can tame them. Certainly, it's by creature type. So all the bears and most of the natural creatures like our alligators and our crocodiles and other things like that can be tamed. But there's not much information on before you tame it whether it's a valid thing to be tamed. So certainly there's a lot more feedback that we need to give to people in relation to things that they can tame.
Since Chris is busy, we want to talk about like why I'm here? Where
Sure.
you can find some of these creatures.
Sure, yeah. What we added this release was wyvern. So we had a new creature that you could tame. And we try to keep it to where, you're trying to tame a normal sized creature. We don't make it to where, even if there are variants of bosses or something that's very high level, we try to keep it to where, it's still something that isn't the in-game creatures you can tame. So certainly the creatures are a step down in difficulty from the highest in the game. But as we're working through these new creatures, we try to come up with lore behind them that controls the locations that they're in and the people that they're associated with. And whenever we created the Wyvern, we have a bunch of different color variants. So those, we use those as a kind of rarity thing to inform, how they're kind of used. And Saniel came in here to help sort of discuss the sort of lore behind the current Wyverns and the current ones that we added this last release.
Hold on, I'm gonna do
Main screen. Hey,
there we go.
Hey, you gonna get a map?
So I have a map right here. I think we can still see it.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's all right. We're a couple seconds behind.
So we were talking about Wyverns, and we wanted to come up with a way to have their initial introduction into the game. And the way we did it was to add them in random encounters. And we didn't want them to be exactly the same as a dragon encounter. A dragon encounter, you go into a plains encounter, and there's some stags, animals around. When you kill a few of those, it draws out the dragon. But with the Wyvern, we decided, you know what, we have barbarians. We already know that some of them have an affiliation with dragons based upon their name. Some are wolf connected with wolves, some are connected with bears, but we decided the dragon clan of barbarians are connected with wyverns. So where do you find barbarians? You find them in Norgard, you find them in North Verdantis, and you find them in North Paladus. So if you are running through any of these areas and you see a barbarian, there's a new barbarian roving character on here. You find one, he can draw you into one of his random encounters. Now it could be an encounter that only has barbarians and you kill a few and tougher barbarians show up. But it could be the one where you kill a few barbarians and then one or two tougher barbarians and one or more tougher wyverns will show up because they're partnered up with the barbarians. The barbarians are training them. Maybe they're even doing a little animal husbandry, making some more different colors because they do have 4 colors. The common color that you'll see is the red wyvern in those areas, and but there might also be the uncommon color of purple or orange, and then there's also the rare color of the white wyvern. And those are the 4 colors we have in the game so far. And once again, you'll find them up in that area of Novia. And there you go. Yeah, so we have some story hinting about the barbarians and some location. And in the future, we'll be adding more colors in different places in different ways.
Yeah, we always try to, when we come with the lore of stuff, we also try to associate, some of the animals with different humanoid creatures so that they kind of simulate that they've seen them. Like Keith was mentioning, especially with the barbarians, since they have animal-themed tribes. We also kind of do that with the elves and with, other races that there are certain,
partnership with the animals.
Yeah, certain sort of animals that they're more found often with.
Yes, and some elves partner with spiders. Sometimes some of the bandits might partner with like a trained wolf
and I think there's like an elven watchdog and things like that.
Yeah.
So we try to stick with, some of the tried and true links like that, but try to not, have it to where everyone is associated with every animal. Try to sort of subclassify it so you'll know to look in these areas for those creatures. And yeah, one thing, I guess, trying to look at some of the stuff that we've done this release and in the past couple releases.
What about the bears? Did we talk much about where the new bears are?
Yeah, that's one thing we did was, so the way it works is we had some bear prefabs that were in the game that weren't set up to be taming, and they were in a couple areas but not very prominent. But then during a release, we added them to where they were kind of much more prominent, so players got to find them, and then we need to add, tackle the aspect of making them to where they're tameable, since it would seem like they would be tameable. So that's why last release before last, we added these new higher level bears that could be tameable, that then sort of get bears up to a level that is equal with the Dark Star Scorpion, which at the time was the most powerful creature. So a lot of these higher tiered creatures are trying to get something that is comparable to the Dark Star Scorpion, since that was effectively the only tamed creature, or the most powerful tamed creature. And so we're still trying to compare a lot of the abilities and stats of the other summoned creatures with those. But at the same time, there's certain areas where the bears are found.
Yeah, Twins Foothills and North Majestic Forest. Right? I think that's where it is. Yep.
And we always sort of, add more areas and extend more areas where those can be found, and try to create stronger links to the scenes and to the lore and to the elements of the environment.
Yeah, we announce it when we first put them in. Some of the other additions over time, we may not announce those as much. You may just like wander through a scene that you didn't expect to see one of these special creatures, and maybe announce there.
And that's one thing we really like. One aspect of the random encounters is that's an easy way for us to get it in there, that we're not messing with too many different scenes. But I really like the aspect of certain rare tameable creatures only found in these random scenes. Because I think while we've de-emphasized the random scenes being something that is that prevents you from traveling in the overworld, we've kind of reduced the number of them and reduced sort of their aggro range and things of that nature. I still think we need to create reasons why you want to go into those encounters. So I think that's where the Wyvern kind of fits into it, to where you're going to go hunt out barbarian encounters because there might be this creature in here that you can tame. And I think as moving forward, we'll certainly will have rare variants, color variants of creatures that you can find in those scenes. I think sometimes whenever we have a very deterministic area, a location, an exact location where a tamed creature is, it gets so automatic, since you can make commodities out of these necklaces, that I'm sure, there's some guy with 100 obsidian destroyer bear necklaces because there's a certain location where he is. But if we keep these guys more to the random encounters, then it allows us to control the rarity of those in an easy way, that then makes it to where the random encounters have something unique and have something that you're digging for and searching for. So certainly down the road, we plan on having, while certain creatures may not be more powerful, they'd be as powerful as the highest tiered summon creatures, but have some unique color or visual variants associated with them.
And I forget, speaking of color, what colors are in right now for the Wyverns?
So once again, it's red is the common one. When they appear, red will appear most often, and purple and orange are the uncommon one. Rare one is white. So that's a red one we're looking at right there.
Yeah, once again, the tamed creatures have certain restrictions on them, while they have to fit in certain sizes and such. I mean, everything that follows you can't be any bigger than the player, because it has to follow you through certain areas. So while everyone wants, a 40-foot dragon, we will never have tamed or summoned creatures that are that much bigger than the player. I get the fact that the demon is pretty tall, but I mean, he is even scaled down as compared to the in-world demon, because they just have to be at least relatively player size so they can fit through areas.
Right, they need to go into the door of houses, the hallways.
Wait,
Yes.
Are you telling me that my dragon smog is not going to get any bigger than this?
Nope.
Maybe if you hug him more.
Yeah, if you hug him more. You look him in the eyes.
Ask him nicely.
But certainly there's, as far as itemization, there's not as much itemization, as we would like. There certainly are the Jirs in there for adding enchantments and adding more items and things. I know that, Death Magic and their summoned creatures has, the staff, and then has a couple other things that people can itemize themselves to increase the power of those. So certainly we want to add those types of things. It's just every time we add kind of a new category of stuff like wyverns or something, that's something that we're going to have to add in that system as well. So as we extend it, then that task gets a little bit harder, but certainly it's more of a, I think we have most of the tech for that, as far as extending enchantment and specifically enchanting those necklaces to have certain powers associated with it. So we really want to, certainly there's areas to work on the itemization that is associated with your necklace, so that, you have a kit for, summoning and powering up these types of creatures.
And you can see it's pretty normal room height. You see his wings pretty much go from the ground all the way up to the ceiling. So yeah, they can't be too much bigger.
Yeah, and certainly it was a with the Wyvern, we were starting with a dragon base, but trying to create something that wasn't just the dragon. So that's why we, opted against using like a breath weapon sort of thing, because traditionally, Wyverns are just a tail attack and a poison. So we were trying to make those guys be a little bit different. So he did kind of turn out as your scrappy ground dragon. But given the restrictions that we had, it was almost the easiest way to make him, somewhat unique and different than the dragon per se.
That orange color.
It's Bevo.
That's Bevo, Chris's little dragon.
Yep.
And certainly, see some comments about this, like, pet fighting or something like that. That's certainly not something we have right now. Certainly we've thought about in the future. And so one thing also is, a lot of times our tamed creatures are looked at in the same comparison to your other summoned creatures or spell summoned creatures. And instead of your spell summoned creatures, there are your kind of undead and then your elementals as kind of the two sort of broad categories, and the tamed creature as the third. The big difference is, I know we've said this a bunch, but it's something to come back to, is that the tamed is a completely separate tree that players invest in, while most of our summoned creatures, while they are only in one tree, you still at least parallel other upgrades with that. So our tamed creatures, since you are sacrificing an entire tree, are always designed to be more powerful and more flexible than our summoned creatures. Certainly there's some issues with our summoned creatures that of them scaling and of them gaining in power, but they're never going to be as powerful as a summoned creature, as a tamed creature, unless we would have the same sacrifice as far as investment of skills in that. So while there are some issues with that, with summoned creatures, we don't really compare those things directly. It's not like a summoned creature needs to be as powerful as this. Certainly want them to progress in a similar way, but not have my.
And I don't know if B mentioned it because I've been paying attention to my little pets here that I made today. But that's another important thing to note, is you may see somebody and you see like they have a pet and it's way, way tougher than the same pet you have. That is likely because they're taming specialized. That's one of the things, because you only get to pick 2 specializations. Players can, like, the benefit you get from it is huge. So we're allowed to take that, and like, you basically are sacrificing like the whole like blade specialization or death specialization or whatever it is, just to be taming specialization. So we do give the pets a pretty good boost for that. So if you see somebody who has like a 2,000 hit point piggy or whatever, or bear, that's probably because they're taming specialized.
Yeah, and
you have to specialize before you tame the beast to get that benefit. You can specialize.
No, and you can if you continue to level up your skills too. So if you get in there and you have a pet and you want to make it tougher, you can always tame and specialize.
Yeah, and certainly as your sort of taming skill goes up, or your summoning skill, creatures are reduced in power. So as you level up, the creatures level up with you up to a certain point. So there is a sweet spot as far as like your summoning restriction versus the power of the creature. So as your summoning skill goes up, the power of the creature goes up. And there's also the skills in the tree that add just a flat level to your creature. So everything on the tamed creatures is based on the level. As the level of the creature goes up, all its stats goes up, all its damage goes up, everything goes up. So there is a maximum level that it gets to where its power maxes out. And then after that, you're adding your passives on top of it, and we'll eventually add itemization that you add on top of that. So there is a sort of absolute maximum that they get to, because we have to kind of control that. We can't sort of say that we're going to translate something from the game exactly over and give it to the players, because it's a totally different balance paradigm. So certain times you will see things on creatures in the game that doesn't translate to your tamed creature, because we just have to sort of have those be different balance parameters. Certainly they try to influence that, the powers that you see on those, but they're certainly not going to be exact as a one-to-one comparison of stuff in the wild versus stuff that you tame.
And I see players mentioning, why aren't they tougher, or as tough as bears, or make them do more damage or whatever type things. These really, like, the wyverns went in, like the day before release, basically.
Pretty much.
That was every, like, all the different parts were there, but that just came together the day before release. So we will take a look at it, but for right now, this is how they're going to be for R58 for sure. We'll take a look at it. But yeah, there's some ideas of like, making them have lower hit points but higher damage or stuff like that we can think about.
Yeah.
And now for the good news, since that was bad news you didn't want to hear. The good news. Prize time here. Rick has once again tortured me with the ugly
the awesome
black
font.
Yeah, bad font, white text on black. He does it just to troll us. First up, Ornate Viking Mall is mythic. I pronounced that correctly, I'm pretty sure. Looks like M-H-T-I-C. Mythic. Mythic.
That's good to me.
Ornate Side. Udazarum Derman. Your names, people, please. Heavy Kobold Kite Shield. Mindabar. Heavy Royal Elven Shield. Sean. I just want to give you more stuff, Sean, because your name is easy to say. Royal Elven Mage Staff. Birdie Warlock. Kobold Rancer Spear. Lorca Murphy. Royal Elven Longbow. Zadian. Royal Elven Spear. Zine Moonlight. Ornate Oracle Hammer. Apollo Blade Runner.
That's a good one.
I gotta do the Johnny Carson. Go.
Yeah, I guess the phrase is light it up. Is that the phrase?
The phrase is light it up.
Okay,
say it in game. Trial version is allowed to do it too.
And one thing we've discussed, a little bit, but we're still working on it, is somehow bringing permadeath back in. When we originally designed this, we really wanted, while the necklace as a commodity is or you being able to trade those and store it in the necklace is a great thing. It meant that, a lot of people, it's easy to kind of store these things. And so for a while we had some concept of permadeath in there, but I think due to bugs and iteration, we kind of removed that, and we want to get back to that at some point in time, as long as there's sort of a risk reward for it. So we'll probably, step lightly back into that, but any of the creatures beyond sort of the power level we have right now, we'll sort of have some type of restriction like that. We just, a big thing in the game, sometimes if you get a creature that is a real high level versus something, things kind of break down. So, whenever we let creatures get to a high level of like 150, kind of like we do in the game, then translating that over to a summoned creature really kind of breaks a lot of things. So we kind of have to look at the balance of those guys post level 100 in kind of a different sort of way.
Last one, I don't think players have seen it.
That's really pop.
Mm-hmm.
But that's awesome in the dark. Dark gray sheet falling at you.
Ah,
Cool eyes.
what are you doing, Dragon? Sit down, Toothless.
Purple eyes.
Yeah, it's always nice. Someone asked about the textures for this guy. This is the sort of current variation of it. I mean, we feel good about them for now. I'm sure we'll always tweak stuff in the future, but we did spend some art time trying to differentiate his materials and his sort of textures on there. Well, I know some of the art, some of the actual modeling is the same as the dragon. The head's different, while the texturing, and they try to get more of a rough scale type look in there.
Ooh, do the wyverns dance yet?
Yeah, they have the dragon animation, so they dance. Someone already confirmed that.
Good. I didn't know dragons dance.
Yeah, it's not really scales. It's sort of a rough area there. As far as trophies, we'll eventually be able to make trophies out of them. It's mainly just an art requirement. I believe they might, if you're lucky enough, the heads might drop that you can start storing up, but there is no recipes for those yet. And in the same vein, there are some food components that drop from these guys that we don't have the recipes in for yet. At one point in time, I tried to wait until we had the food recipes associated with it, but since those sometimes don't happen in the same release, then it's just sort of add the raw components that we have, that you guys kind of accrue those. You can sell them or start gathering those up. and then when we eventually add the recipes, then you'll be able to make those sort of things. But since we're doing a lot of fishing work this upcoming release, there's a lot of food work to go with that. So hopefully I can pull in the other food recipes that have been outstanding for the recent bosses that we haven't been able to get to, like the unicorn stuff and the recipes associated with this. So I expect some other easy, maybe food crafting stuff to happen at the time of fishing, since there's going to be a lot of work related to new food recipes and such.
I see somebody asking. So I think only half the different color variations of wyverns went in live. We have other versions around, and I just summoned them so that I could tease you guys with them.
Right. Eventually,
by showing you off my cooler dragons.
Eventually, we'll also add the yellow, green, blue, and black, but they're not in yet. That's a black one right in front of us, right?
Spry One just said, "I want that basement." That's a good idea. We should make a basement that looks like the dev hub.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Warren.
Green boxes and all.
Yeah, it gets a little stale in here sometimes. It's a little musty.
Do we show this room off to players?
They see it from time to time.
Yeah, not too often.
I've showed it some. I guess I've showed some sort of dev rooms and stuff and support.
Here's, what does he have? 13, 19 hit points. And I think I've got my stats are set to 120, I think. So in case you're wondering, that's what he would look like with 120 in different things. And again, the Obsidian Destroyer Bear is currently the toughest if you look at hit points.
Yeah, I believe the Wyvern has more dexterity. But a lot of those are sort of balanced similar at that high level. But certainly, the Darkstar Corbin is our only ranged one. That's why he's so powerful. So I expect we need to, sort of get some more similar creatures of that level. One thing we did add, something that I haven't spoken of, is whenever we upgraded some of the bear stuff, we added some more tameable bears that are higher tiered, that are mainly the different colors. So there is a, polar bear, Arctic bear that is higher level, and there's a grizzly bear that's higher level that we're going to hopefully get in next release. So while they are just color variants and slightly differences, we at least are trying to extend out the taming spectrum to be to where there's level 100 of all of these creatures, because previously there was a level 80 maximum for most of the creatures, but then we added one or two high level ones, and then so we kind of have to bring all the other ones up. So I expect to see at least trying to get at least up tier 10 of all the common creature types, and those are kind of the ones we'll look at balancing moving forward, because there's not much reason to add a level 30 tamed crocodile in, because really it's just about the in-game stuff, or at least the stuff that is at level 100. So I expect there to be more options at level 100, and then we can look at balancing those versus each other. They're already kind of balanced from a stat and damage perspective, but trying to balance those to where they have more skill options, and that there are more variants of skill options based on the color of the creature. Certainly that's something we're going to get in more of. We'll focus on kind of the in-game, and then figure out what it means to take a step beyond that, and what is the risk reward, or what are the next investments for something that is beyond that.
Just because I knew people would be curious, I pulled some stats on things for like how many wyverns were tamed in the first 24 hours. I was surprised how many. You guys really like wyverns, apparently. There were 541 that were tamed in the first 24 hours. Looks like about 140 orange, about 140 purple, about 250 red, and then about 35 white ones. And let's see if I can find it. I think I posted who got it there. This person has not anonymized their stats, so I'm assuming he's good with me saying his name. But the first person to tame a wyvern in the game, drum roll please, Thorweg. He tamed it at 10:45 a.m. and 34 seconds. Somebody else tamed it by 10:46. So they were apparently, they knew where they were going to be, and they were already set up there. And they also, I will point out, he would have had it sooner. She, I don't know. But the first time he tried to tame it, he was killed. So sorry about that.
I-
I do want to mention that we had talked about, earlier today, we told you that the wyverns, when they show up, the barbarians, it also goes along with something that B and I had talked about, which was we want wyverns to be group animals, pack animals, not necessarily a big pack. It's not, you're not going to be 10 of them, but where dragons are always solitary, or except maybe if they have like onions. But the wyverns, they're more of a group oriented. So that's why
Packs of wyverns.
it won't be like big
Herds?
packs, but you could. Well, herds.
What do you call a group of wyverns? I'm gonna have something.
Yeah, I'm sure there's somewhere out there. But so probably there'll always be at least 2 or 3 wyverns whenever you encounter. Go to a wyvern encounter, whether it's a random encounter or whatever future. So that's something to keep in mind. The wyvern slash.
Yeah, we try to at least try to differentiate them from dragons, since we know they're fairly similar in some veins. So try to have their skills and how they're found be a little bit different. So we like to associate them with the barbarians and have it to where there's multiple ones at a time.
And we are right at 5 o'clock, so we should probably wrap it up. I just wanted to remind people that next week the live stream will be from 3 until 7 on Thursday. Not Friday, Thursday. And I've already had people harassing me saying we should also do the sales on the Friday, just because that's when everybody expects it. And we're going to lose a ton if we don't. So I'll talk to Star about that, and maybe we'll do like Thursday and Friday next week. Do a sale.
3 to 7 is Central Time. Point that out for people who don't.
Yeah, 3 to 7. Novia Standard Time, Austin Time. That's the yes, that would be Central Time, Chicago Time, whatever you want to call it. Oh, here comes Star. Let's see what he has to say. Hi, Star.
Hi.
And as always, I just wanted to thank everybody for all the support and patience and good feedback we get from all you guys and good questions we get from you guys. And I look forward to answering a lot of those questions on the next stream. You guys have anything else we need to say before we wrap it up?
I got it all out.
Star? All right.
So thanks for joining us for today's live stream. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff about how taming works and you got to see the wyverns. If you haven't already seen them, although I think there have already been hundreds sighted already.
541.
541 sighted. So congratulations, all of you wyvern hunters and tamers. And we'll see all of you either Monday for the dance party with me, DJ Darkstar, or we'll see you Thursday for the R58 live stream where we'll be talking about dungeons and we'll be talking about seasonal content. Pumpkinhead, he's going to be awesome. Daniel's got some great plans for it, and Chris here is going to make him a crazy boss. He's going to have an artifact staff.
And he's going to use some of the new boss features I'm going to be adding.
What? It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned.
And the other important thing is, whose stream are we going to raid?
Oh, yeah. So we're supposed to not forget to do that.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. We won't forget like we do every other Friday. So we'll host or something like that. All right. Thank you, everybody.
See you next Thursday.
See you next
Thursday is
Thursday.
the live stream, not Friday. Thursday. See ya. How do I do the thing, Star? Stop streaming.
Stop streaming.
Stop streaming.
It's a very
Here we go.
Are
we off the air yet?